Emotional content is filmed on Whadjuk Noongar land. This podcast acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of country. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Come for the stories, stay for the connection. I'm your host, Amy Jane Brand, and this is your weekly dose of emotional content. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Emotional Content and our second ever episode of Safe Space, where we unpack all of your secrets, dilemmas, questions, and I give you the best big sister advice I can possibly give. Just a reminder, as you guys are already well aware, I am not a medical professional, I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist. I think you guys already know that. However, I am here to bring awareness, be an advocate, and also create a space for non-judgmental, open discussion to give you guys some support. Please know that there is an amazing list of resources on my website at emotionalcontent.com.au that are always there for you and easy to find via the resources tab. Before we get started, can I just say a huge thank you to every single one of you that tunes in every week, has shown any support, has shared the podcast, commented, whatever you've done, because we officially hit over 100,000 downloads at the end of February. Yes, I am. Quite late in saying it, especially seeing as this podcast is recorded 2 weeks prior to it going live. But yes, I wanted to say a massive thank you because that was completely exceeding my expectations. I obviously was so quiet for 2 years, and to come back online again, you know, you lose so much engagement when you do that. Going on any kind of hiatus or break from consistently posting, you come with the consequences of not having good engagement. And to have so many of you tune in and see the purpose behind this podcast and actually get something from it that helps you as well is a really awesome thing. I'm extremely excited to continue doing this. And yeah, I just wanted to say a massive thank you because I haven't had a chance to actually say it on the podcast yet. You may have also noticed that there has been a lot of solo episodes lately. And that is because I am currently building out a new studio, moving into a new space. So I wanted to wait until I had that space all together before focusing on guests again. I have some amazing guests lined up. However, I just want to do it in the new space. So until then, we will be focusing just on some solo episodes. But if you love the guest episodes, don't worry because there's so many more coming. This year is looking really great for the guests we have lined up. Now, before getting started, I wanted to ask you guys for a huge favor. Obviously, you know that my heart and soul goes into this podcast. It has been a huge part of my own healing, being able to speak openly with you guys. And you may have also noticed that there has never been an advert since listening. I didn't want to start this podcast with immediately making a profit. Every single part of this has been my own blood, sweat and tears, or I have been paying to work with the incredible TBC Studios. Shout out to them because it wouldn't be possible without them. This podcast being independently run means it's actually all out of my own pocket. I pay for production. I do a lot of the editing myself as well. I have input across every single thing that you see, but something that you guys could do that would help support the podcast so much is if you give it a follow on whatever platform you're listening on. Spotify, Apple, wherever it is, Google. If you hit follow, it supports the podcast so much. And it also gets you notified whenever a new episode drops, which means you won't miss out on any. And if you're feeling extra nice, giving it a rating really helps as well. And if you have already done those things, I cannot thank you enough. It means the absolute world to me. So let's stop yapping and get straight into the episode. So to get started, we have Lara from Lonsdale writing in. Lonsdale, I think, might be from the UK, but I could be wrong. We actually have so many people write in from other countries as well, which is just the most surreal feeling. It's so awesome. Lonsdale, I probably should have looked that up, but anyway. Lara from Lonsdale says, do you think there is still stigma around women watching porn? I tried to talk to my friends about it and they all swore they never watch it. I was like, we're 24, so surely not. And secondly, lol, any threesome experience? I've been talking to this guy for a while and he has a mate who's kind of hot and is apparently keen on me too. They asked if I wanted to have a threesome with them. They called it an Eiffel Tower. What the fuck? I beg your pardon. Sorry? Okay, so we're in Paris apparently. And to be honest, it really turned me on because that's one of my biggest kinks. But there's a part of me that's kind of nervous giving myself to two guys. I would just feel so powerless, I think. Any advice would help so much. Love emotional content and loved your episode on quitting smoking. Such a tough thing to get a handle on. Thanks, Lara. Love you and appreciate you for writing in. This is actually, this is pretty funny when it comes to the Eiffel Tower thing. Firstly, to answer your question about women watching porn and is there any stigma around it, I guess unfortunately there still is. Your friends might actually also be lying because they feel embarrassed about it. Me personally, I've watched porn from a super young age, whether it was detrimental or not, and made me extremely performative in the bedroom. Yeah, it had its downsides. But yeah, I've watched porn, definitely been a fan of Johnny Sins over the years. He quite frankly got me through my last relationship. So cheers, Johnny. But yeah, I don't think there's any shame in watching porn. Any of my friends that I've spoken to about it, they're more than happy to say yes. They've put their hands up and said they watch porn and we've discussed what sites. I think it's just all personal preference. Maybe they don't want to talk about it. It's just such a weird double standard with men to women. When it comes to porn, it's all fun and games for men to talk about it. But for women to say they watch it is still a little bit taboo, I guess. It depends on the circle of people. And yeah, I think they potentially might have just been a bit embarrassed about it, especially talking about it in a group setting. Not everyone's comfortable just being hey, totally just flicked the bean to some Pornhub the other day. It was fucking fire. Not everyone's willing to say that. Now onto the Eiffel Tower situation, because this piqued my interest when it came through. I was like, hello, what is this? As far as I'm aware, the Eiffel Tower thing is just a gimmick, as if, one was in your mouth, the other one was behind you, and then they're holding hands and it's creating a fucking Eiffel Tower. So it's just some stupid, immature, boy slang, I guess, which is kind of off-putting going into the threesome if that's what they're going to be doing. But anyway, let's break this one down. So yeah, threesomes can be hot. Personally, have I done one? Because I know you guys are going to be thinking that immediately. Yes, I have. I haven't done two men. I did it with a friend of mine, a girl, and one of my ex-boyfriends, one of them that you will never know about and I never talk about. It was when I was way, way younger. Since this scenario is specifically about two men and yourself, I don't have personal experience on that, but I will go through some things to think about prior to diving in, because I had a thought about it. I put myself in your shoes and I was thinking, how would I navigate this one? Personally, I think it is super valid that you are feeling nervous about it, because being that it is two guys that are a lot stronger, it can potentially be a dangerous situation. Let's be honest here. As I've said before in previous podcasts, I would always choose the bear. So I would take extra precaution because of that. Firstly, there's the power dynamics and the comfort. You mentioned feeling like you would have no power in the situation. So that's something for you to really think about, because feeling safe in the situation is a non-negotiable. You don't want to walk into it and have any doubts about your safety. There needs to also be really clear boundaries established going into it. I think it's worth asking yourself if you would really enjoy the experience, or would you be doing it just because it's a kink in theory? Really have a good think about how would you feel about it afterwards, and are the trust and boundaries there between all three of you, not just the guy you've been speaking to. You really need to establish that with this other guy who's going to be involved as well. Do you have limits? And what are those limits? Have you established those within yourself? Because you need to be very clear on what your limitations are, if you have any. And then on top of that, they also need to know your limitations with it too. Can you trust these guys to respect your limits and not overstep on your boundaries is a big one. It really needs to feel as safe as one-on-one sex. I think before stepping into it, you need to feel as comfortable as you would if you were just being intimate with one of them. And if you have any doubts, they really need to be stamped out with open conversation and creating a level of safety in that space for you guys to do it. Basically, you need to make sure they understand exactly what you're not comfortable with doing prior to getting into it. How you feel afterwards is super important. So really get clear on how you would feel after doing that. Would you feel empowered? Would you feel potentially taken advantage of? There's a lot of layers to it that is important for you to kind of discover within yourself prior to going into it, because you don't want to go doing this and thinking, oh, it's a kink for me. Like, watching porn, two guys railing a chick, like that can be hot, right? That kind of submissive stuff. I get it, totally. But in reality, outside of that just being like a turn on, physically doing it, how would you feel afterwards? If there's any hesitation in your gut, I definitely think you should listen to that 100%. I really try to listen to my gut on situations now, and it only really leads me in the right direction. So see how you feel about it. Give yourself a little bit of time before jumping into it. I can guarantee that if you do feel ready later on or need some time to think about it, you're 100% still going to have that offer on the table. So that offer is not going to go running out the door or the opportunity just because you need to give yourself a little bit of time. When I did it, I was drunk, but I knew these people so well. Like I knew them so closely for years. I knew these people. So it was very different. I think it's probably a good idea not to get wasted or get on drugs when you're doing it. Obviously like a drink or two, but everybody probably needs to stay in a fairly sober mind state. I would probably suggest that because people change when they're drunk or on drugs, and they might seem really nice and it's like having fun and stuff. But I would be wary of people changing during the act when under the influence as well. So I know it sounds like I'm making it really off-putting, but I'm just wanting you to think about all the things around it. So it really protects you. I think with your hesitation of it and your question, it would be good to tread carefully. You'll obviously get people that are like, yeah, you're young, fuck it, just get railed by anyone, like have fun, YOLO kind of thing, but there's risks involved. So if there's even a tiny part of you that thinks you'll feel vulnerable in a bad way rather than in an exciting way, then maybe hold off until you're in a situation where you feel like you have 100% control. Thank you so much for writing in, Lara. I loved this question and I wish you all the best with your threesome fantasy. Actually, you know what? Let me know if you end up doing it and how it goes, because I am interested now. I'm invested. Hopefully these are nice boys. I hope they're nice boys, because if they're not, then no, they don't deserve you, okay? Next up, we have April from Perth. I've been with my husband for 19 years. We met when I was just freshly 18 and I had just broken things off again with my ex. I thought my ex was the love of my life, but we just didn't work together. He was what they call a fuckboy. But oh my God, I was obsessed with him. So freshly single, I met my husband and fell in love. We bought houses together. We have 2 beautiful kids together. He loves me so much, and I would say we are pretty happy. We have an amazing life and no real problems. That's nice. Love that. Sounds like an absolute slay, April. But my secret is I have these dreams that I meet my ex and we hook up. The dreams are steamy and I wake up feeling so guilty. I think about him from time to time, but these dreams, oh my God, they don't happen too frequently, but I just wonder, what does it mean? Obviously, I'm not thinking about leaving my family and finding this guy, but my subconscious keeps inserting him into my dreams and coming up with these wild scenarios. I can't bring myself to tell anyone about this or even say it out loud. Should I even feel guilty? I really don't know. What's your advice? Well, honestly, personally, I think that you absolutely should not feel guilty. Like, you can't control your brain when you're asleep, for starters. And secondly, don't feel ashamed of like saying this out loud to people. I don't know what your circle of friends are like, but I mean, me and Michael have the most open discussions. In fact, we send each other snaps after we've just been dreaming to tell each other how wild the actual dream was. And all kinds of shit comes up in your dreams. Like you literally can't control it. I mean, look, we could go down a rabbit hole of lucid dreaming and all that shit. But me personally, I've got no control over my dreams. Honestly, when things got really bad with my ex-boyfriend, I 100% was dreaming about other people that I had been with or not been with. Like, I wanted out of that relationship. So yeah, I was essentially having dreams of other men. I'm not surprised. the intimacy died between us, all that type of thing. I think for yourself, you didn't actually say anything about the intimacy between you two. Maybe it's your subconscious telling you to spice things up a little bit. I don't actually know. But from my personal experience, when things had just completely died in that area, that's when my subconscious was kind of like throwing me some pretty wild dreams. Not things that I would have done, but they were definitely throwing them in there for me. Also, that kind of infatuation when you're younger, especially when you're younger, can leave an imprint on you. So it doesn't mean that you want him back. It just means that he had a big impact emotionally in your history. I think your subconscious is just throwing some spicy nostalgia at you, pretty much. If you're concerned about it and it's happening too often, have a little think about it. Is there something deeper? Like, is there a meaning of this to you? Are you craving something new? Are you craving something exciting? Or is it just nostalgia? It could be either of the two. You 100% don't need to feel guilty. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, take that idea, that thought of feeling guilty and just throw it out the fucking window because you haven't done a single thing wrong. Thank you so much for writing in, April, and you're a local Perth girl. So if you ever see me, please say hello. I would love to meet you. And don't worry, if you are with your family, I won't say a fucking word. I won't say a word. Okay, we have Georgia from Lorne. Is Lorne in Australia? Lonsdale, Lorne. This sounds like the UK. I should know this, seeing as I am from the UK. But anyway, let's read what she said. Hi, Angel. These might sound too personal, so please don't answer them if you don't want to. Queen, this is all about TMI on this episode, so there is nothing off limits, don't worry. I feel like I can't orgasm no matter who I have sex with, but on my own, it's fine. I can make myself come, but no guy can. My boyfriend wants to try anal, but I'm so scared. Any advice from previous experience or conversation with friends? I do have some experience, but I wouldn't say I'm the anal queen, but I have given it a red hot crack. I've never had the confidence to ask any of my friends. I feel like I'm too loud during sex with moaning and stuff, but if I'm quiet, I'm super awkward. I am so bad at dirty talking. I don't even know where to begin. What are some good lines for an amateur to throw out apart from fuck me? This one's funny. It's all over the place. There's like so many questions in this. So I had to break it down. Obviously, these are all super valid concerns. Like, I totally get it. I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're in your 20s. I'm not too sure, but it's some stuff we all need to navigate. So I'm going to break it down one by one for you. If you guys remember me saying in the last Safe Space episode, I like to bank up your submissions. This was one of the ones that didn't get answered in the previous episode. So I'm going to say that if you haven't already listened to the Faking Orgasms episode that came out this week, there is heaps of information in that about not being able to come with a partner, being dependent on toys, because that's what happened to me. I had actually conditioned myself to only orgasm a certain way, and I completely unpack that and also give you the step-by-step details on how I managed to fix that issue for myself. So that episode will be really good for you. And if any of you are struggling with the same thing, please go and check out my Faking Orgasms episode because it has so much valuable content in there and I think you'll find it really funny. I share some really TMI stuff on that episode, so I was actually a little bit stressed posting the reels for it. There's something about posting on Instagram compared to TikTok or talking on here that is just so fucking judgmental. Like, I don't know, I just feel really stressed out when I see people I know. You can see who's viewing the story when you reshare the reel and you're just like cringing at the thought of them perceiving you. Like, I don't know, it's weird. Instagram's not the place where I feel 100% comfortable. I feel like everyone would understand what I'm saying. Anyway, so you're considering entering the back door. Well, I have some tips for you. I remember the first time doing it, actually, I was absolutely shit-faced drunk. And I have to say that probably helped the situation at the time. Obviously, completely valid, feeling scared about it. Usually things come flying out of there. They don't go up there. So it can be a bit scary. Personally, I think you should be getting a ring for a ring in this situation. If you don't know what I'm putting down, I'm saying you should be getting an engagement ring before you give him the ring. A ring for a ring. I feel like that's such a good deal. Like, put a ring on it if you want to get the other ring. So yes, obviously I've done it before. Did I love it? Not really, no. Personally, I think an external vibrator makes the whole experience a lot better, but that's just me. Some people absolutely love the back door. Other people think it feels like a shit going in and out of your bum. and it kind of can. So it's all personal preference, whether you're into it or not. But what I will do is give you my best step-by-step advice that I have come up with. And this is advice from personal experience and speaking to a lot of my gay friends. This is a conversation that comes up frequently. So number one, open communication. As always, it is absolutely imperative that you have open communication and you trust each other with this process. Talk to your partner about boundaries, your comfort levels, and any concerns that you might have so you are both on the exact same page. Number two, relaxation is extremely important when doing anal. This is a muscle that you are trying to loosen up in order to take something that is bigger than it usually is. Well, depending on your boyfriend's size, smaller is probably easier for this. But if you're taking something quite large and in charge, then you absolutely need to be making sure you are as relaxed as possible. Tension can actually make things really uncomfortable. So you need to focus on staying really relaxed when you do this. Douching, it's optional, but I 1000% recommend douching. You can buy these online if you don't want to buy them in store. If you don't want to trot into the sex store and buy a big old douche, you can definitely buy one online. If you do choose to douche, you want to do it 1 to 2 hours before. I would probably suggest eating really light that day, eating fatty foods, heavy foods, being bloated. We need to keep the area light and fresh, okay? Salads, protein, fruit. I wouldn't be going for any heavy sauces, bread, that type of thing. Like, you don't want to be gassy. You don't want to be gassy doing anal. That would sound like a fucking symphony orchestra coming in and out of your ass. You do not want to be gassy, okay? As for lubrication, the type of lube that you use is pretty essential. My favorite lube overall has to be by Pajor. I don't know if that's how you actually say it. I'm probably butchering it, but unless it's per, I don't know. Anyway, it's PJUR, and they have a lot of really good silicone-based, high-quality lubricants. From personal experience, I would have to say anything from their backdoor range is definitely a go-to. I would say that their relaxing backdoor one is Chef's Kiss because it gives you some relaxing properties as well. The reason why I like silicone over water-based lubricants is because it continues staying slippery over an amount of time, whereas water ones will dry up, especially for backdoor stuff. You want to be using the silicone one. It just lasts longer. Just remember that if you are using a silicone-based lubricant, that you should never use a silicone-based toy with that because it creates friction, you can get burning, and it does the complete opposite. So if you start by using any butt plugs, I would suggest going for the stainless steel ones. They have a cooling effect as well, so they're kind of nice, versus the silicone ones, like the little pink ones and stuff. They're cute, but I would definitely suggest going for a metal-based one so you can still use the silicone-based lube. Lubrication is super important. You don't want to have an injury, and this will help prevent that from happening. Remember to start slow. Start slow. Get yourself really in the mood. Have a play around. I would definitely suggest, again, using butt plugs prior. I would not go straight into the cannon going right up there. That is going to be a shock and a half. Believe me, I've been in a situation where that's happened and I actually saw stars. So you've got to be really careful with the back door. It is not something to just rush into. Got it written on here on my notes. Do not rush into penetration. So yeah, make a note of that, guys. Absolutely do not. It actually reminds me of the Daily Mail article of me and my partner Frank. It's still there actually, but we were at Crown and we decided to have like a big night at the hotel here, Crown Towers. And you could see from some of the stories that I was posting that there was a pink butt plug in the background and it was on the bed. So you guys can go and check that out. I'm not lying. That came out, I think, 2021. It was actually Celeb Spellcheck that initially found it, and then the Daily Mail did an article as well. For positioning, I would probably suggest going on top because you've got the most control. It's really up to you and what you want. Some people do it missionary. I actually haven't done it in that position before. But yeah, going on top, you have a lot more control. You can feel what's going on and you can try it whatever way you want, but that's just my personal recommendation. And of course, the question that you'll probably be thinking, will I shit myself? Well, the potential is there. And all I have to say is I'm not going to guarantee that douching is going to completely knock out that being a potential. But what I will say is whoever you're doing this with, whoever's listening, obviously I'm answering Georgia right now, but for any of you listening that is considering doing anal for the first time, it is an absolute privilege for someone to go up the back door. And whoever's doing it needs to grow the fuck up, because if there is a little situation that happens, then that is completely natural and there's absolutely no shame with that. If you're going into this and some guy's like, oh, I don't want to get any poo on my dick, they're not the right person, because shit happens, pun intended, and it's just part of it. If you want the back door, there's risks involved, brother. Okay? So get the fuck over it. And you shouldn't be feeling embarrassed about it either. If you're doing it in a relationship as well, like take the pressure off. You're messing with an area that usually has poo flying out of it. So everyone needs to get a little bit realistic. Again, it's not porn. If that happened, they're going to cut it out and they're going to do it again. So just keep that in mind, okay? Take the pressure off. And lastly, feeling awkward with moaning, dirty talk, and being too loud. I think there is way too much pressure when it comes to how we perform in the bedroom, and it's really about doing what is right for you. Just enjoy yourself and stop thinking about how things are perceived. If you're not doing it in a performative way and it's something that's been picked up from porn, watching porn over the years or whatever, like it was for me, then it's completely natural and just enjoy yourself. Who gives a fuck about what anyone else thinks? And yeah, just do you. I'm sure your man enjoys it. It's letting him know he's doing a great job. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. As for dirty talk, I don't have specific things that I could say that would work for you guys. Like, it's really about things that are personal between you both, things that you like being done. I guess telling him that you like that or that type of thing would probably be the best place to start. Dirty talk can be pretty awkward for everybody. And I think anyone who's really into dirty talk and that type of stuff felt awkward about doing it at the start as well. Even if they seem really confident now, there was a point where they were doing it and it felt awkward. So it's really just about having a go and trying it out and seeing if it's even something that you enjoy. Georgia, thank you so much for writing this in. This was a fun one to cover. And I hope you have the best time with your backdoor experience. Next up, we have a short question from Millie in Wollongong. How do I go about finding the right kind of sex toy? Getting rid of the awkwardness of buying one. I just feel so embarrassed. Lol. Firstly, Millie, I think everybody gets embarrassed at the idea of buying sex toys at the start, but there's absolutely no reason to feel shame about it. There is so many of us that have sex toys. My personal advice would be to start figuring out what you enjoy. Have a think about it. I think you probably are aware of the things that you like. Are you more interested in outer stimulation or penetration or both? They make toys for both at the same time as well. Did you just want a simple external vibrator, or did you even want a dildo that doesn't have any battery operation to it? There's a lot of different things that you can choose from. So figuring out what is best for your pleasure will definitely be the best place to start. Different toys serve different purposes, so knowing what you're looking for really helps. Beginner-friendly options. Personally, I would probably start off with an external vibrator, something small. I would go with a good quality brand. I probably wouldn't be looking at Temu or anything like that. I would go to Love Honey, the adult store, any of those well-known companies that sell medical-grade silicone toys. Brands that I really like are WeVibe. They actually do a vibrator that I have been recommending to people for years. It was called the WeVibe Tango. Now, unfortunately, for some strange reason, they have discontinued this toy. I think it was a couple of years ago that they discontinued it, but when they told us that at the adult store, Frank ended up buying 6 of these toys for me because they're one of my favorites. Not that they've ever died. It's actually kind of pointless having that many, but you just never know. Yeah, I absolutely love that toy, especially for solo and with a partner. It's just the perfect vibrator. It is quiet. It is powerful. The battery life on it is great. They have come out with a Tango 2, which is slightly different in shape, but knowing the brand, I would say it would be just as powerful and probably just as good. So yeah, try out the We Vibe Tango number 2. Give that one a whirl. There's also Lilo that is a good brand and they look really luxurious. They're very much like the designer of sex toys. I don't know if I would say they're as powerful as We Vibe, depending on what you want, but Lilo is a really beautiful product. And then there's also Womanizer. I don't have any Womanizer products myself, but they do some very well-known toys that are definitely worth looking at. And 100% I would be checking reviews. Reviews are amazing for figuring out what's good. Whether you're going in person to purchase it later or you're just buying it online, it's definitely worth checking out Love Honey for their reviews. You can go to YouTube and search it. Even check out ChatGPT. Like, I know not everybody's into the AI, but that will find all of the reviews and give you a summary on what people are saying about that toy. Just remember to have fun with it, take the awkwardness out of it, and flip your mindset from being embarrassed to doing something exciting for yourself. So go forth, explore, and enjoy the self-discovery. Thank you so much for writing in your question, Millie from Wollongong. Appreciate you, and I hope you have the best time with your new toy, whatever that is. Okay, so our last one for today is a dilemma that I think a lot of us will be able to relate to. This has definitely been an episode about sex and relationships, and I'm low-key loving it. Like, it is definitely my favourite subject to talk about. So the lovely Jackie from Brisbane has written in and said, I was with my ex for 3 years on and off in a long-distance situationship. From the start, he love-bombed me. I even booked flights to meet him after just 2 weeks of talking. Been there, sis. Queen, I got love-bombed the absolute fuck out of by my ex. That's another story. But after my visit, he admitted that he didn't want a relationship. I went along with it, thinking maybe one day he would change his mind. He was in the army, constantly moving, drinking, and running hot and cold. I played the cool girl and accepted the bare minimum. He'd ignore me for days, then call me drunk at 3 a.m, and I'd literally set alarms just to make sure I was awake to speak to him. In person, we acted like a couple, but in reality, I was just being breadcrumbed. Over 3 years, we were only actually official for 3 months. I kept hoping he'd realise I was the one, but he never did. A year ago, I moved overseas, chasing a lifelong dream. Absolutely go off, Queen. Well done. However, we reconnected when I left, confessed our love, and even made plans to reunite. But the cycle repeated, and he broke my heart worse than ever. Now he's moved on, and I still love him. I hate that I do. Since then, I've gone from being anxiously attached to completely avoidant. I date, but I feel nothing. I don't even want sex. I know this isn't fair to the men I meet, but I don't want to feel that kind of pain again. I don't want to be alone forever, but I don't know how to change. How do I work through this? Whew, I need a drink of water. Firstly, Queen, I think a lot of us have been here, so absolutely no shame, no judgment. I get it, the breadcrumbing, totally understand. I've been there. I hate bringing the fuckwit up again, but my ex breadcrumbed the shit out of me. I didn't actually mention this in previous episodes, but he used to tell me that like the next year would be different all the time. Constantly, it was like, oh, next year will be different. Oh, we'll have more time together. Oh, we're this, we're that. It was just always talk and no action. So I understand what it feels like to be like led on. Obviously, it's a different situation, but the breadcrumbing, I understand why you were holding on hope to that. This relationship obviously put you in a cycle of hope and heartbreak, which naturally led to feeling emotionally shut off now. Like that would happen to anybody. So it's totally fair. Often with these situations, the emotional highs and lows can become quite addictive. So when the roller coaster stops, it can feel really empty afterwards. That's just my personal experience of it. Instead of it being freeing, like you would expect, once it's done, it's like, it's very, it feels very hollow. I definitely wouldn't say that him moving on means that he's definitely in love. Not to say that you should wait around for someone like that, but avoidant people tend to push love away but still crave it. So they often use new relationships as distractions. When it comes to attachment styles, mine has changed drastically between relationships. I've been anxious before and now I feel a lot more of a secure attachment. I think it's something that can be changed. So you're not going to be stuck in this avoidant loop forever. It's something that you can work on and definitely change for yourself. Right now, what you've done is what anybody would naturally do in order to protect themselves from getting hurt. Becoming avoidant, I wouldn't say is becoming like him. I would say that it's more a case of you trying to protect yourself so you don't get hurt again. And it's easier to be avoidant than to wear your heart on your sleeve. So before saying how I would work through it personally, I would definitely say the first thing I would look at doing is some kind of therapy, because you've been through a lot, and being able to bounce off of a professional can really help, and they can give you some tools that will help you along the way as well, because this stuff can be pretty difficult to navigate on your own. I know finding a therapist and one that you gel with can be quite time consuming. It can be costly as well. But if it is something that you feel you need extra support in, 100% look into a female therapist, I reckon. Definitely female. But that's just me. I pick a female for any sort of medical stuff, always. So firstly, I would focus on grieving the fantasy, not the person. It's grieving the idea that you had of what it could be and what he could be, rather than who he actually is, and differentiating the two. This future that you pictured having together was with somebody that you thought he was. And I know that that can be really hard to let go of, the idea of them, but falling in love with the idea of somebody often leads us to disappointment. And he did turn out to be a big fat disappointment. So I guess letting go means accepting that version of him that never existed in the way that you needed. Again, definitely recognizing that this avoidance is a survival response and not your true self, which I think you do already know because you weren't initially this way. You are not broken or incapable of love. You're just protecting yourself right now, and that is the brain's number one purpose. It is to protect us. Even though it can do it in some really difficult ways, what it is trying to do is protect you because it doesn't want you to go through that heartbreak again. But healing does start when you begin to challenge that protection and let safe people in small ways. So that goes into practicing emotional openness with low stakes, letting people in if you aren't already, like your friends, your loved ones, your close people, letting them in and letting the guard down and being really honest about how you're feeling, getting vulnerable with them is a low stake risk, like risk in inverted commas, to really stepping into that openness again and bringing down those walls, doing it with people that you trust, with small things that don't feel like a really big risk to you. You really don't have to dive headfirst into deep relationships right away. Just start allowing yourself to be a little bit more vulnerable with the people that you trust, and the healing does begin to happen. It's a great way of reminding yourself that not every emotional connection has to come with pain as well. Redefining what love looks like for you. A real love isn't about waiting to be chosen by somebody. It's about mutual effort, consistency, and safety, which is something that I have touched on before in my Navigating Conflict episode. The title of that one is different though. It says, I used to be so bad at fighting in relationships. And I think you will find some value in that one as well. But what I'm saying is the kind of love that you deserve won't leave you waking up at 3 a.m. for little scraps of attention that you're craving, because you are worth so much more than that. I think not forcing yourself into dating before you're ready is really important. It's okay to take your time. Like right now, the goal isn't really to find someone. It's actually to find yourself again, and the rest will naturally follow. Focusing on yourself and your own mental health is super important right now, and just throwing anybody into the mix of that can be pretty detrimental. So 100% take your time with this. And lastly, be patient with yourself. Healing obviously is not linear. Like I've said many times before, healing tends to be a fucking roller coaster. Some days you'll miss him, some days you'll hate him, some days you'll feel numb. But the fact that you're asking the question means that you're already on your way to taking the next step in your healing. Jackie, I really hope that what I said can help. I absolutely feel you, Queen, and you're not alone going through this experience. I think so many of us listening right now will be able to connect with you in different ways of your story. And I'm sending you so much love on your journey of healing, and you are absolutely deserving of the love that you desire the most. So that is it, guys. That is our second episode of Safe Space. If you would like to send something in now you're thinking about it for the next one, you can go onto the Emotional Content website and send a story in. That way it banks up and I can dive into them each time I do these episodes. I absolutely love hearing your stories. I love your questions. And of course, everything is kept completely anonymous. So on that note, I love you all so much. Thank you for writing in, and I will catch you in next week's episode. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, please give it a share. You never know who might need a little emotional content in their life. For daily feel-good posts, follow @_emotional content on Instagram and TikTok. And don't forget to hit that follow button so you're notified every time a new episode drops. Your support means the absolute world to me.